Hello, everyone. I'm Meredith with Conversations with Friends, and welcome to the program. And I have an amazing guest to share with you tonight. And actually, we go back many, many years. I haven't seen him. He just told me at least over 20 years. Bit of a time, bit of time. But anyway, you might have seen his photos. Alan Benowitz. You might have seen them because he's a multi-award winning photographer in South Florida, but known really all over, because his photos have appeared in, well, locally, let's talk about local. To begin with, the Beaux-Arts Museum, the Low Art Museum, the Beaux-Arts Festival, moving a little bit farther away. He has actually his work, and we're going to see the piece tonight. His work has actually appeared at the Louvre. He's also, I think that he's worked with the country of Morocco, with the King Mohammed, who's actually asked for Alan to come and photograph a very special festival in Morocco. I mean, that's just a little bit. I could go on and on. The Whitney, his photos have appeared. And but he's really not all about, and I'm going to just say, welcome, Alan. I know you're not all about where you've shown and what awards you've gotten. I think that it has to do with what I want to start with, passion. You are a big believer in passion, and I have passion for one's work. So I just want to talk with you about where this passion came from. It came from just your love of the work?
Well, having not been raised at home since I was 7 years old, and in 3 different children's homes, the third of which was called the Progeny Children's Home, someone gave me a Minox spy camera, and I would take candid photographs of my friends in the various dormitories, sometimes with embarrassing results, but funny. And I enjoyed capturing these people who became my friends, and I've saved them going forward because these were my early family. And then, of course, as I grew older, high school, college, life, marriage, business, I didn't have time to take many photographs until an image of my son and my dog, Black and White Springer Spaniel, entered in the International Kodak Contest in 1976. That encouraged me. But I was still working, and I would go on international assignments with my attorney clients around the world. And after they would leave and return, I would stay on for 4 days and trek and hike in the different villages on my own. And when I'd return, I would give each attorney a mini album of 36 pictures, 4x6. And I was told in the late 90s that, Alan, your work is pretty good. You should take it more seriously. And I did. And that's when I started taking more images and traveling on my own as well. And I had my first exhibition at Mayfair in Coconut Grove in Miami. And 175 people came to the opening. I was very encouraged. I sold 24 pieces at the opening. And I was still doing it part-time. And as a result, it took a backseat again until I retired from my court reporting and video conference businesses, and then went forward to start exhibiting in shows and museums.
So it was kind of like a more gradual growth or transition from, as you said, you started out actually as a court reporter, but then you went to the videography. So you were getting definitely some experience, with video. But you call yourself a cultural photographer. And I don't know that I've heard that term. Maybe it's more common than I realize. So I'm just wondering, how do you see yourself as a cultural photographer?
Well, the international assignments that I traveled on brought me to remote parts of the world and cultures that are not commonly seen in the United States. And this appealed to me. It attracted me. I especially I'm diversified my subject matter, but besides architecture and other images, it's the people that actually captured my emotions. I found them less fortunate than we in the United States, to be poor, happy, gentle, intelligent, and poor. And as a result, I would capture images of their lifestyle, their occupations, families. And when I come back to the United States, each time I felt more appreciative of the benefits that we take for granted in the United States, our freedoms, our lifestyle, and I developed an emotional attachment to the images of the people that I would be photographing.
Fascinating, because often I feel that people are just taking pictures. There's a lot of people taking pictures out there today, right? Because of, the iPhone and other kinds of phones, but they're just trying to take pictures. But in a way, you have a message. I think it's a very strong message, what you're saying, is that you are really showing people a world that we might not necessarily see, and showing, in a way, revealing their dignity, and that they are as important or even more important to our world, than the movie stars and the singers. And, that's what we often see pictures of, right? And that's what a lot of people go on YouTube for, or Google to see the movie stars or the famous.
Yeah. When I take a picture, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's not what you're about. And it sounds like you had that strong feeling, maybe coming from within.
Yeah.
Going way back.
Yeah, many times people take numerous pictures of the same image. I only take one. If there's passion behind the shutter, I take it. If I don't feel it, if it's not a visceral feeling that I have, I don't take the picture. And as a result, most of the images that I take are keepers.
So what you're saying is you must really focus on what it is you're trying to take, right? Because
Yes.
you're saying you don't get another chance. That's
Right.
it.
Exactly.
And I look in my camera and I have no talent at all or ability to take really good pictures. In fact, it's embarrassing. People ask me to take a picture of an event and I come back and I couldn't get to the person. They were too far away. They turned their head. And then I've taken a whole lot of pictures and I look and I hope for one to even be not good, but decent. And often they're not. But I guess that's
beholder.
right. Well, but I like, what you're saying is that you really focus, and you really try to make the most of that one moment. And so I have so much to ask you, but I do want to go to some of your pictures so people can see the beauty of your work. So why don't we take a trip? And that's what I promised in the flyer. A trip to Asia, because I know you love Asia and that you spend a lot of time there taking photos. Where are we? I think I know, but you tell us.
Well, one of my favorite trips, and there were a number of them, but one of my very favorites was a 28-day trip to Asia in October, November of 2014 to Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and some R&R at the end in Singapore. And I went with about 12 people from the Miami Ski Club who were very fit, good hikers. And we rode elephants in the jungle in Sri Lanka. In Nepal, we just walked the streets to immerse ourselves with the people and the culture, the architecture, their businesses, and their poverty.
Yeah. So you really, I get the feeling, Alan, we can move on to the next picture. I get the feeling that you really, not just, again, I'm the photographer doing my job, but you experience these, what you're seeing. It's an experience for you, isn't it? Almost like a learning experience. Where are we right now? So we can know. Yeah.
Well, every time I do go on a trip, it is a learning experience. Based on conditions, I find I have to be creative in how I take my images. I cannot always use a tripod. Handheld images, especially when it comes to candid photographs of people. This one is called Namaste, and it was taken in Bhutan at a festival. And It was an annual festival, and this gentleman just came up to me and greeted me, and I had the camera at my waist, and I just shot it. I don't take posed pictures because it changes the dynamic. People are no longer themselves if you take a posed image. I like to take it candid. So this was on the spot. He came up to me, I just took it.
That photo is just the eyes. I mean, just look, and the hands like that. That's almost like you have a relationship with somebody like that, like him, by just looking at this picture.
It made me feel that way.
It's magical. It really is. This is a magical photo to me. You know, I feel something from seeing that. And I'm sure many, many others have, you know, as you've shown your work in so many places. Yeah. So we're going to keep going here and just see some more of your pretty amazing work.
Here is a monk in waiting is the title of the picture. In Bhutan, monks matriculate or learn under a Buddhist master, and they don't become full monks until they reach the age of 18. This was a very quick shot, as I noticed later, his mother was peeking in the upper right-hand edge of the picture, watching her son, proud of him wearing the robe.
How beautiful that is, you know, a proud mother that her child is going to be, you know, a future spiritual leader, right?
Yes.
A monk, yeah. That's something. I'm not so sure mothers would feel that way in this country. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And these are ladies learning to dance by their Buddhist masters.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the middle of a rehearsal that I took candidly at a temple. Mm-hmm. This is a young mother in India that I photographed, very proud. She could not be more than 14 years old. And I just took a candid moment. This is a group of young boys in the Delhi who were performing for money as people walked by. I wanted to take a candid shot and not to be obvious, so what I did was I walked by twice. I focused at the focal length of my camera lens and focused and approximated the distance. This is a low resolution version that you're looking at, but there's a sharper image. And I took it and it became a very popular image.
And I want to say that's in Rajasthan, where the Brahma Kumaris headquarters are, way up on a mountain, Mount Abu in Rajasthan. You go all the way up a mountain and there is the ashram. And I've been going there for many years. Many, many people have been studying there for a long, long time. So I'm really happy to see these. And here it is. Your work was seen in this magazine, this travel magazine, right?
Yes, it was a magazine published in Coconut Grove, actually. And I was flattered that they wanted my images, and it was a nice publication.
So we're moving on to nature right now. And we talked about this before the program. You said, you know, on a lot of photography, you know, in different parts of the world and some very spiritual places, but there's another side to me, or many other sides, you know, of what you photograph, and it has to do with nature photography. So that's spiritual too, isn't it?
I began with nature photography before anything else when I took it seriously. And I love capturing nature. Nature's palette is beautiful. And I try to take them during the fall colors. This was taken in North Carolina during the fall colors. And the subject matter is just wonderful.
Just seeing these, Alan, it just makes me appreciate what our world, you know, can be and is. But often we don't take the time, right? We're so busy doing.
I like to capture the depth and texture of the image so that your eyes go into the image, like a picture window.
Look at that.
Where'd you get these from? My website?
From you. You sent these. You forgot, right? You forgot you had a lot of deer, right? Yeah.
I do. Those are wild turkey.
again, I get this feeling that you really are learning almost like spiritual lessons through your work. So I'm wondering, we talked about the dignity of people, and is there any one point or something that you have learned as a result spiritually as a photographer?
When I came back from Bhutan in Asia,
Yeah.
I developed a more mellow feeling,
Hmm.
being in the moment, appreciating things more. The people in Bhutan are very poor, yet they're happy. And the king's phrase, uh, um, describes them as the happiness people. The gross domestic happiness is the slogan that the king had created for his nation. And it's borne out by the people that I saw in the images that I captured.
Which again is an important point, to keep in mind, that people are often just, really moving towards, wanting more and not being happy with what they have in America and in the world. And yet here you have people with nothing or relatively nothing, and they are able to be content. And that's a secret within itself, isn't it? That has to be explored. But you give people an opportunity to see things that maybe they wouldn't see, right? Or a
Yes.
different way of looking at pictures. So I was just
Yeah, I've had
wondering.
people tell me that when I've come back, Alan, thank you so much for taking these pictures, because we could never travel there, and you've brought it to us back here in the United States to enjoy. And that's my pleasure, capturing and sharing the images that I've been fortunate to take.
Yeah, you've had a lot of good fortune in your life, and a lot of learning experiences. And you mentioned that you were raised in 3 children's homes, but I wanted you to, I really want people to know, about your family life and your parents, because it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yes, and that was a learning experience. And I never, people say, gee, that was terrible. I said, I never felt sorry for myself.
Mm.
Um, every time an experience developed that was less than fortunate, I took it as a learning experience, and I developed an innate drive to overcome obstacles. And I looked at those experiences as the boot camp of life early on. And I grew from it, and it made me stronger. And it made me hungry and thirsty for something better.
Maybe mention what it is about your family, because they don't know. People don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm a Brooklyn born of deaf parents, the oldest of 4 children.
Both
And
parents were deaf.
my
Both parents.
both
Both
parents are
parents.
deaf, yes.
Yeah.
From scarlet fever, it was not congenital, so all 4 children were hearing.
Yeah.
Um, and they were separated 4 times when I was 1, 3, 5, and 7. As a result, they had another child, which never really improved the marriage, but only complicated it. My father was a factory worker, didn't earn a lot of money. My mother was a beautician. She would take customers in. I would have these hair dryers with the spaceship kind of helmets plugged into the electricity to dry the hair back then. And she did what she could to make ends meet. So when we were removed from our home in Coney
Home.
Island, in Brooklyn, we were taken to the Children's Center in Manhattan. They must have had 250, 300 children um, from all different faiths, Black, Puerto Rican, white. We were the only Jewish family there, and we were treated. There was a time when I was introduced to uh, I wouldn't wish on many people. We were prejudicially treated in a nice way. And I was introduced to anti-Semitism personally, became stronger for it. And after 6 months, a counselor, um, aware of the experiences we were having, brought a social worker in to meet me. I was the oldest of 4, and he arranged for us to leave. And 2 of us, my sister Marilyn and I, went to the Hebrew Day and Night Shelter in the Bronx. My brother Jason, 2 years younger than me, was emotionally disturbed by the experience, went to a special home, and my youngest brother, Sherman, at 1 year old, was taken to a foster home. After 6 months at the temporary facilities, at the Hebrew Day and Night Shelter, my sister and I were taken to the Pride Children's Center in Brooklyn, New York. It turned out to be the best home in the city of New York. And our counselors were like family members. We had benefits there that many children of intact families did not have. I eventually got a scholarship to go to business college and became a court reporter. If it were not for the tragedy, I would still be in New York doing something else. I don't know what, but it was as a result of that. I was recruited as a court reporter to Miami, Florida, and that experience changed my life for the better. And I'll let you ask me questions.
Well, I think, I don't know if it's a question or a comment that I want to make, is that every obstacle that you've had to face has just moved you forward. You know, you understand that, you know, you learn from difficulty. In fact, we often don't learn when things are good, everything works out in our favor. And you've continued. And I'm also, I guess my question would be, do you think in a sense, because of what you went through as a child, that has made you more compassionate and it shows up in your photography?
Yes, and appreciative of what I have also. And my friends early on became like family because I was not raised at home. So my friends became my family throughout life, my close friends especially. And I've been fortunate to have many through business, through my ski club, through my photography, through my gourmet cooking hobby. I have monthly dine-arounds each month, and 25 to 40 people come. And so yes, my early experiences are the reason why I feel the way I do about people today.
Beautiful. I can see you are definitely a man of many talents and lots to share. And I could go on and on. I do have lots of questions, but I think we're going to have to say goodbye now, just because of time. But I just can see, you know, that why, you know, I was saying how many awards that you've, not just awards, but recognition for the work that you've done. And I can see, you know, like I said, there's lots of photographers out there, but there's only a few that really can make an impact and that can make people stop and really reflect. And that's the feeling I get from you. You have that gift.
Well, I was inspired by some photographers like Arnold Newman, black and white photography, street photography, Cartier-Bresson, and later Steve McCurry from National Geographic, because I consider him a cultural photographer, and we end up shooting similar work. His is greater, of course. He's got the reputation and the budget with National Geographic to go everywhere, and I admire his work.
Yeah, well, you followed in his footsteps in some way. I mean, in your own way. And it's interesting because isn't he the photographer that did the whole program on the happiest people in the world, and that was all about Bhutan.
Yes,
so,
and his famous one was the Afghan woman.
Yes, yes,
He
yeah.
photographed her 10 years later, and she seemed to have aged by 30 years.
Oh, right, I remember that. Amazing. Like I said, I got lots more questions for you, but I have to say goodbye. I think that what I'd like to say to anybody, the people watching out there, is if you ever have a chance to see his work, to see your work, Alan, they should just go see it. And I know that your work is constantly being shown in South Florida somewhere, right?
Or my website is updated.
Yeah. It's a pleasure getting to talk with you and getting to see you again. Reminding me that it was a long time ago that we did see each other,
Thank you very much.
Through WLRN. Yeah. Great to have you on the program.
Good memories.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.